The city floated high above the clouds, its shining towers glowing under the twin suns. Traders shouted in the busy market, robots rolled past with goods, and airships drifted between platforms like giant whales in the sky. Among the noise and lights, a small girl ran, her eyes wide with fear. Her steps were fast but clumsy, and her breath came out in short gasps. People turned to look, but no one stopped her. She pushed through the crowd, her tiny hands trembling, her face pale. She looked like she was running away from something. Something invisible, something only she could feel. The girl stumbled near a fountain at the center of the square. The water rose and fell in perfect patterns, glowing blue with strange energy. She collapsed at its edge, clutching her knees, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her chest rose and fell too quickly. She could not breathe. She was drowning in her own panic. No one dared to approach her. People whispered but stayed away. Then, from the crowd, a man stepped forward. He was not dressed like the others. His coat was old and dusty, patched many times. His boots looked worn from long journeys. His face carried the marks of travel, tired eyes but calm, steady. He moved slowly, not to frighten the child, and knelt beside her. The girl looked at him with fear, as if expecting anger or judgment. But the man only smiled. Without saying a word, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device, metal, round no bigger than a coin. With a soft click, the device opened, and the man gently blew into it. Bubbles floated into the air. Not normal bubbles. These glowed faintly, shimmering with strange colors, as if each one carried a piece of the stars inside it. They rose gently, drifting in front of the girl's face, reflecting her wide, teary eyes. At first she blinked, surprised. Then her breathing slowed. Her hands loosened from her knees. One bubble touched her nose and popped with a soft sparkle, leaving her giggling despite herself. The man kept blowing. More bubbles danced around her, spinning like tiny planets. The girl reached out with her fingers, catching them, her fear melting into wonder. The crowd stared in silence, amazed at the strange but simple act. The girl laughed, a laugh so light it cut through the heavy noise of the city. The man said nothing. He only watched her, relief softening his face. He didn't know why she was crying, or who she was. He only knew she needed calm, and Bubbles, of all things, had given it to her. But above, far beyond the market, someone else was watching. Hidden, in the shadows of a tall tower, behind layers of glass and guards, stood a woman in royal robes. Her crown glowed faintly with embedded crystals, her cloak shimmering like liquid silver. Her eyes, sharp and full of power, were locked on the scene below. She saw her daughter. The queen's fingers tightened on the railing. Her daughter, the princess, had run away from her guards again. She had been lost in the city for hours. Panic had spread through the palace, and now here she was, calmed not by her own protectors, not by any trained healer, but by a stranger blowing bubbles in the market. The queen's lips pressed into a thin line. Who was this man? Why did her daughter trust him instantly? Behind her, a captain of the royal guard spoke in a low voice. "Your Majesty, shall we detain him?" The queen raised her hand to silence him. "No," she whispered. Her eyes never left the man below. "Not yet. Watch him." Back in the square, the girl was smiling now, chasing the bubbles with small jumps. The man chuckled softly, finally speaking for the first time. "See? They're not scary. They're just bubbles." The girl nodded, her fear gone, her eyes shining with joy. She didn't know that eyes far greater than hers were watching. She didn't know the man she had just met had unknowingly stepped into a story much bigger than himself. The market crowd slowly went back to its noise, but whispers followed. People had seen something unusual, something simple, but strangely powerful. The man stood brushing dust from his coat and gently patted the girl's head. He was about to walk away, disappearing back into the sea of faces. But already shadows were moving. Small drones hovered at the edges of the market, silent, scanning. Guards blended into the crowd, their eyes on him. The man had no idea. He only thought he had helped a child. He didn't know she was the heir to the throne. He didn't know her mother, the queen, was watching. He didn't know that this simple act, blowing bubbles, was about to change the fate of the entire floating. The man left the fountain behind. The girl's laughter still echoed in his ears, soft but haunting. He slipped into the moving crowd of the floating city, as if nothing had happened. People soon forgot him, or at least pretended to, but whispers traveled fast. Some called him a magician. Some said he was a fool wasting time on toys. Others spoke in hushed tones about the way the princess trusted him instantly. None dared to say it too loud. The queen's name carried weight. The man walked slowly, his hands in the pockets of his patched coat. His boots tapped against the metal floor of the market platform. He didn't notice the drones above, watching every step. Or maybe he did. But he didn't care. His name, unknown to most, was Kale. Kale had no family in this city. No home. No friends. He drifted from one star system to another, fixing machines, trading scraps, selling his skills. He was a traveler, a mechanic, sometimes even a thief when hunger forced him. His past was a locked box, heavy and silent even to himself. He stopped by a food stall paying for a hot skewer with a handful of dull coins. The vendor, an old man with glowing cybernetic eyes, stared at him for a moment longer than necessary. "You calmed her," the vendor said in a low voice. "Not many can calm a child like that." Kale shrugged, biting into the food. "Just bubbles," he replied. "Nothing more." But the vendor shook his head. "Nothing is just in this city. Be careful, stranger, eyes are everywhere." Kyle gave a small smile, but inside, unease stirred. He walked away, his thoughts drifting to the girl. Something about her eyes, wide, full of fear then full of trust, stayed with him. It wasn't just that she calmed down. It was how fast she had trusted him, when no one else could reach her. He didn't realize yet that this trust had already marked him. Far above the markets, inside the crystal walls of the royal palace, the queen sat in silence. She replayed the footage of Kale kneeling before her daughter, the bubbles glowing between them. She studied every frame, every gesture. Her advisors spoke behind her, their voices sharp and nervous. He could be a rebel spy. Or an assassin, using tricks to gain her trust. "Should we detain him now, Majesty?" The queen raised her hand, silencing them. "No, he is no assassin," she said firmly. Her voice was cold, but thoughtful. "Assassins do not calm children. They do not carry devices of play. This man is something else." Her eyes narrowed. For the first time in many years, she felt curiosity. Back in the city, Kale wandered into the old docks. Here, the platforms were broken, the lights flickered, and the air smelled of rust and oil. Few people lived here now, only scavengers and outcasts. He entered a small workshop built from scrap metal and broken ship hulls. Inside, parts of old machines were scattered everywhere: jet engines, broken robots, and tools that hadn't been used in years. Kale set his bag down and sat. At a cluttered table, he pulled out a half-built drone, its wires exposed, and began working. His hands moved with quiet skill, twisting wires, tightening bolts, adjusting circuits. The hum of the workshop filled the silence. But even here, whispers followed. A young scavenger boy appeared at the door, watching him. "You're the one," the boy said. "The one who blew the star bubbles." Kale didn't look up. "They're just bubbles," he muttered. The boy shook his head. "No. The stories say the one who calms chaos will bring change. The old prophecy." Kale froze for a second, then let out a laugh. "Prophecies are for fools," he said, going back to his work. But the boy only stared at him with wide, certain eyes before running off into the shadows. Kyle sighed. Trouble always found him, no matter where he went. He had hoped this city would be quiet, just another stop before moving, and now it seemed fate had other plans. City. That night, Kale left the workshop to walk through the empty streets. The city's lights glowed softly, and the airships above cast shadows on the platforms. He stopped at the fountain again, the same place where he had found the girl. The water shimmered, glowing blue as it danced in the air. Kyle stared at it, his reflection broken by ripples. He wondered why he had helped her. Maybe because he saw the same fear in her eyes that he once carried himself. As he stood there, a faint sound reached his ears. A whisper, carried by the wind. Kyle. He turned sharply, but no one was there. Only shadows. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed a drone hovering above. Its lens glowed red, recording him. Kale frowned, pulling his coat tighter. Someone was watching. Inside the palace. The queen leaned forward in her throne as the drone feed displayed Kale's face. "Bring me everything on this man," she commanded. Her captain bowed. "Yes, Majesty. But what if he refuses to serve the crown?" The queen's lips curved into a faint, dangerous smile. "Then he will learn," she whispered, "that no one refuses the queen." Kale, unaware of how close the palace eyes had come, walked back into the shadows of the city. He thought he was just another traveler passing through. But destiny had already taken hold of him. And soon, the entire floating city would know his name. The throne room of the floating city was carved from crystal and steel. Its walls shimmered with soft light, glowing like frozen stars. At the center sat Queen Serenia, ruler of the skies, her crown heavy with power and history. The chamber was silent, but her thoughts were not. The image of her daughter, laughing, at glowing bubbles, replayed in her mind again and again. For years, the princess had lived under shadows of fear, panic attacks, sudden breakdowns, nightmares that no healer could soothe. Yet this man, a stranger in a broken coat, had calmed her in moments. The queen's fingers traced the armrest of her throne. She was not a woman easily surprised, but this had shaken her. Her advisors stood at a distance, restless and cautious. One of them, Minister Talvin, cleared his throat. "Your Majesty, we should take immediate action. The man must be brought in for questioning. He may be dangerous." "What if this is a trick?" The queen's eyes flashed. "A trick that makes a frightened child laugh? Do assassins carry toys in their pockets, Minister?" Talvin faltered, bowing low. "Still, it is unsafe." Another advisor, Lady Vera, stepped forward. Her voice was softer but sharper. "Or perhaps, Majesty, it is fate. You know the prophecy as well as I. The one who calms chaos will awaken the heart of the city." The chamber grew colder. The queen did not like hearing those words spoken. A loud. Prophecy was dangerous. Prophecy gave people hope, and hope often turned into rebellion. She rose from her throne, her cloak of silver threads dragging behind her. "Enough. Prophecies are stories for the desperate. I rule with truth, not superstition." But inside her heart stirred uneasily. Far below the palace, Kyle sat in his workshop, unaware that his life had become the subject of royal debate. His hands worked on the broken drone, but his mind wandered. He remembered the girl's smile, the way her tiny hands reached for the bubbles. It was a simple thing, yet it felt heavier than any machine he had ever built. Why had she been so scared? Why was no one around her when she needed help? His thoughts were broken by a faint noise, like metal claws scraping against stone. Kale grabbed a wrench. His eyes scanning the shadows. From the darkness, a small black drone crawled across the ceiling. It stopped above him, its red lens glowing. Kale frowned. Again with the spying. With one quick throw, he hurled the wrench. The drone sparked and crashed to the ground, twitching before going still. Kyle stared at it, then sighed. He had been in enough cities to know what this meant. Someone powerful had noticed him, and that never ended well. Back in the palace, the queen was already informed. "The drone is offline, Majesty," said the captain of the guard. "The stranger destroyed it. He knows he is being watched." The queen tapped her fingers against the crystal table. She admired the boldness. Most men, Once they realized the Queen's eyes were on them, fell to their knees. This one did not. Interesting, she whispered. Her daughter, the young Princess Lyra, entered the chamber quietly. The Queen turned, her stern expression softening. For the first time, "Mother," Lyra said softly, "why do your guards follow him? He is kind. He made me safe again." The Queen knelt, lowering herself to meet her daughter's eyes. "Lyra, my star, kindness can be a mask. Not everyone who smiles is a friend." "But he didn't want anything," Lyra insisted. "He only helped." The Queen studied her daughter. Children did not lie about trust. There was something in this man, something real. She held her daughter close. "Do not worry. I will find out who he truly is." That evening, the Queen gathered only her most trusted advisors in a hidden chamber deep within the palace. The walls here were dark, etched with glowing runes. Ancient technology older than the city itself. On the table lay a relic, a shard of crystal pulsing faintly, like a heartbeat. "This," she said, pointing to it, "is why we must be careful." Her advisors leaned closer. "The heart of the city," Talvin whispered. "It still lives." The Queen's voice was grave. "Yes, and it will remain sealed. But if the prophecy is true, this stranger could awaken it. That cannot happen without my control." Lady Vera smiled faintly. "Perhaps that is why fate sent him, Majesty. To you." The Queen's jaw tightened. She hated the idea of fate, but deep down she felt the pull. If this Kale was connected to the heart, then he was no ordinary drifter. He was either a gift or a weapon. And both belonged in her hands. Meanwhile, Kale walked the empty streets, restless. The city lights shimmered above, the stars beyond, them faint. He wondered if he should leave before things grew worse, but something inside stopped him. The girl. Lyra. Her laughter still echoed in his mind. He clenched his fist. Leaving now felt wrong. Then from the corner of the street, a cloaked figure appeared. A messenger, pale and thin, handed Kale a folded piece of metal sheet with glowing letters. "From the palace." The messenger whispered before vanishing. Kale unfolded it. The message was short. "The Queen requests your presence." Kale's eyes narrowed. He knew the word request from rulers. It meant no choice at all. He exhaled slowly. Trouble had found him again. But this time, it was bigger than anything before. Kale stood on the balcony of the guest chamber the palace had given him. From here, the whole floating city stretched out like a crown of light above the endless clouds. Airships drifted between platforms, their lanterns glowing against the twin suns that were now sinking below the horizon. It should have been beautiful. But Kale felt no peace. The Queen's summons had not been a choice. Guards had escorted him, here after nightfall, their weapons silent but ready. They hadn't spoken a word. He had asked questions, but they only stared straight ahead. Now, Kale leaned on the balcony rail, his jaw tight. He had been in palaces before, though never as a guest, usually as a prisoner. And he knew one thing. Being this close to power was never safe. He touched the bubble device in his pocket, the one that had calmed the girl. For the first time it felt heavier than before, as if it carried a weight far greater than it should. Inside the throne chamber. The Queen walked in silence, her silver cloak trailing behind her. She had not spoken to Kale yet. Instead, she had ordered her guards to keep him under watch while she gathered more information. The city's network had been combed for traces of him. Records showed almost nothing. He had passed through outposts, old colonies, and mining stations, but always under different names. No family, no clan, no clear history. A ghost wandering between the stars. The Queen did not like ghosts. Ghosts were dangerous. Her advisor Talvin bowed. "Majesty, the council grows uneasy. Rumors spread fast. Already the markets speak of him as the calmer of storms. If we do not act, the people may start believing Let them whisper. The Queen cut him off. Her voice was low but sharp. Whispers are better than riots. I will decide what he is when I meet him. Cale left the balcony and sat on the bed. His eyes wandered across the chamber, golden walls, crystal floors, glowing lamps. Everything screamed wealth, but to him it felt like a cage. Then, faintly, he heard footsteps outside. He stood, silent, and waited. The door creaked open, and to his surprise the little girl entered. Princess Lyra. She carried no guards, no crown, only a small smile and curious eyes. You came, she said softly. Cale blinked. You're not supposed to be here, are you? She giggled. No, but you're not supposed to be here either. Her boldness made him laugh despite himself. You're braver than you look. Lyra stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. They're afraid of you. Everyone is, but I'm not. Kyle crouched to meet her gaze. Why not? Because, when I was afraid, you made the fear go away. She looked at the bubble device peeking from his pocket. Do it again, please. Kyle hesitated. Part of him wanted to keep the moment hidden, safe, but her eyes were too bright, too full of trust. With a small sigh, he lifted the device and blue dot bubbles floated between them, glowing softly, shimmering, with rainbow light. Lyra laughed again, her small hands chasing them. For a moment, the chamber felt alive, not with fear, but with joy. Neither of them noticed the shadow behind the half-open door. A figure watched silently. Lady Vera, the Queen's advisor. Her eyes glimmered as she whispered to herself, so it is true. Later that night, Cale tried to sleep, but the palace never truly rested. He heard guards' footsteps, the hum of energy shields, the soft whir of drones. He turned in bed, restless. In his dream, he saw flashes, machines older than the stars, glowing crystals, voices whispering his name. He woke with a start, sweat on his forehead. The door burst open. 2 guards stepped inside. You are summoned, one of them said flatly. Cale stood, slipping the bubble device back into his pocket. He followed them through long, silent corridors, until they reached the throne chamber. The Queen waited. Her eyes, sharp and unyielding, studied him as though peeling away his layers. She did not speak for a long moment. Then finally she said, You are not from here. You have no past in this city, no ties, no loyalties. And yet, my daughter smiles because of you. That makes you important. Cale tilted his head. I'm no one, Majesty, just a traveler. The Queen's lips curved slightly. No one does not calm chaos. No one does not awaken prophecy. Cale frowned. Prophecy? The Queen rose, her cloak shimmering like starlight. There is an old saying, the one who calms storms will awaken the heart of the city. I do not believe in fairy tales, but my people do, and that is enough. Cale's jaw tightened. He hated being tied to things he didn't understand. So what do you want from me? The Queen stepped closer. Her eyes burned with a mix of curiosity and control. I want to know whether you are a gift or a threat. The chamber grew heavy with silence. Kyle felt the net closing around him. Whatever he answered, he was already caught in something far bigger than himself. And somewhere deep in the city, beyond crystal walls and guarded vaults, the heart of the city pulsed faintly, like it had been waiting for this very moment. The Yai. City above the clouds never truly slept. Its towers glowed with silver light, its platforms hummed with engines, and its markets whispered even in the dark. But that night something darker moved beneath the glow, something the Queen's guards could not see. In the deepest alleys of the lower docks, shadows gathered. Cloaked figures whispered around a broken fire, their faces hidden by masks of iron and cloth. These were not traders or workers. These were rebels. The black veil. One of them slammed his fist on the table. The queen grows weaker. Her daughter runs wild, and now, this stranger appears. Already the markets call him the Calmer. Another hissed through his mask. Prophecy, the heart of the city. If he is the one, he belongs to us, not her. The leader leaned forward, his eyes burning through the mask. Then we take him. Tonight. Kyle, high above in the palace chamber, sat by the window. Sleep would not come. His thoughts circled, endlessly. The queen's cold stare, her words about prophecy, the strange dream of crystals glowing in the dark. He pulled the bubble device from his pocket and turned it in his hands. To him it was just a simple tool, something he had built years ago from scraps. But now people looked at it like it carried the stars. A faint knock startled him. He opened the door, and there she was again, Princess Lyra, barefoot, her hair untidy from sneaking out. You shouldn't be here, Kale whispered. Lyra grinned. Neither should you. Her innocence made him smile, though worry tugged at him. If your mother finds out. She already knows everything, Lyra said softly, her eyes too wise for her age. She always knows. But Kale, I had another nightmare. Her voice trembled, and Kale's heart softened. He crouched down and blew a bubble, then another, and soon the air filled with glowing orbs. Lyra's eyes lit up, her fear melting away. But this time, Kyle felt something strange. As the bubbles floated, they pulsed faintly with the same rhythm he had seen in his dream. The rhythm of the crystal. Heart. He frowned. Something was not right. Far below, the rebels made their move. A group of masked figures slipped through the city's forgotten tunnels, past rusted gates and old maintenance shafts. They carried no lanterns, only small devices that bent the shadows. Around them. Their goal was clear. The palace. Back in the throne chamber, Queen Serenia stood before the great map of the city, its lights flickering as sensors picked up unusual movement. Unregistered heat signatures, reported her captain. At least a dozen, moving toward the upper levels. The queen's jaw tightened. The black veil. They dare enter my palace? She turned sharply. Send the guards. Seal every gate and bring Kale to me. Now. Kale didn't get the chance to be escorted. The windows of his chamber suddenly exploded inward, shards of crystal scattering across the floor. Lyra screamed as masked rebels stormed inside, their weapons glowing red. Take him, one shouted. Leave the child. Kale moved on instinct. He grabbed Lyra and pulled her behind him. Stay close. A rebel lunged. Kale dodged, swinging, a broken chair into the man's chest. The rebel stumbled back, but another struck. Kale barely avoided the blade, sparks flying as it sliced the wall. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a fighter. But years of surviving on harsh worlds had taught him how to move, how to react. He fought with whatever was in reach, chairs, shards of glass, even his boots. Lyra clung to his coat, her eyes wide with terror. Then Kale pulled the bubble device. He blew once, fast, desperate. The rebels laughed at first, until the bubbles touched them. The glowing orbs burst against their armor with sharp sparks, disorienting them. Their masks flickered, their weapons hummed off balance. The rebels staggered, shouting in confusion. Kale stared at the device in shock. He had never seen it react like this before. The bubbles were more than light now. They were energy. He grabbed Lyra's hand. Run! They sprinted into the corridor as guards rushed in from the other side. Blades clashed with plasma, shouts filled the hall, alarms screamed across the palace. Kyle shielded Lyra as they ran, his mind racing. What is this thing I built? Why now? In the throne room, the queen watched the chaos unfold on her screens. She saw Kale shielding her daughter, saw the rebels falling back in confusion, saw the bubbles glowing like tiny stars. Her heart skipped. The prophecy whispered in her mind again. The one who calms storms will awaken the heart of the city. Her daughter was safe for now. But the truth was clear. This stranger was no ordinary drifter. And whether he wished it or not, he was now the center of a war. Kale and Lyra burst into a hidden garden at the heart of the palace. Trees glowed faintly with silver leaves, their roots wrapped around ancient stone. Lyra gasped for breath, holding tight to his hand. Kale looked around, chest heaving. He had survived battles before, but this was different. This was bigger. And, the way those rebels shouted, he wasn't their enemy. He was their prize. The palace was still shaking from the rebel attack. Guards carried away broken weapons, shattered drones, and unconscious enemies. Smoke drifted through the corridors, mixing with the scent of burnt metal. Kale sat on a stone bench in the hidden garden, his chest still rising and falling hard. Princess Lyra leaned against him, safe but exhausted. The bubble device rested in his hand, glowing faintly like it had a life of its own. He stared at it, confused. It was never supposed to do that, he muttered. The garden doors opened. Guards in silver armor stepped aside as Queen Serenia entered. Her cloak shimmered, her crown casting shards of light across the stone floor. Her eyes locked on Kyle and the girl. For the first time, Kyle saw not just a ruler, but a mother. Lyra ran to her. "Mother!" The queen bent down, hugging her daughter tightly. Relief softened her cold features, but only for a breath. Then she straightened, her gaze turning sharp again. "Leave us," she ordered. The guards bowed and stepped out. Silence fell between Kale and the queen, broken only by the faint hum of the bubble device. "You saved her," Serenia said at last. Her voice was calm, but her eyes studied him like a blade. Kale shrugged. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," the queen replied firmly. "Not anyone. The rebels wanted you alive. They called you the Calmer. And then, this." She pointed to the bubbles still glowing in the air. "That was no trick. That was power." Kale shook his head. "It's a toy. I built it years ago. It was meant to distract children, that's all." "Do not lie to me," Serenia snapped, her cloak swirling as she stepped closer. "I have ruled long enough to know when fate walks into my city." Kale frowned. "Fate? You really believe in that?" The queen's voice lowered. "I do not. But my people do. And prophecy has power, whether real or not." She turned, her hand brushing the silver leaves of the glowing trees. "There is a story older than this city itself. A story of the heart of the city, a crystal core buried deep beneath these towers. They say it holds an energy so pure it could keep us floating for 1,000 more years, or burn us all to ash." Kyle listened, his jaw tightening. "And what does that have to do with me?" The queen faced him, her eyes sharp as steel. "The prophecy says, the one who calms chaos will awaken the heart. And tonight I saw it with my own eyes. You calmed my daughter. You fought off rebels with light no weapon could mimic. The heart is stirring because of you." Kale's stomach turned. He wanted to deny it, to laugh at the idea. But he remembered the dream, the pulsing crystals, the whispers calling his name. He remembered the way the bubbles had sparked like energy against the rebels' armor. Still, he shook his head. "I don't want this. I didn't ask for it. I'm not your savior." The queen stepped closer, her presence heavy, her voice softer now. "And yet you are marked by it. You cannot walk away from destiny." Kyle stood, meeting her gaze. "I've been running my whole life, from war, from rulers, from cages like this. If you want to use me like some tool, you'll be disappointed. For..." The first time, the queen smiled, though it was faint, almost sad. "Perhaps, but you have already chosen, Kale. You saved her. That alone binds you to us." Lyra tugged at her mother's cloak. "He's not a tool, Mother. He's kind." The queen looked down at her daughter, her expression softening again. Then she turned back to Kale. "Kindness is rare in rulers' halls. That is why it is dangerous." She moved toward a stone arch at the back of the garden. With a wave of her hand, the ground split open, revealing a staircase glowing with blue light. Kale's eyes widened. "What is this?" The truth, Serenia answered. If you are to walk this path, you must see what lies below. The heart itself. Kyle hesitated. Every part of him wanted to refuse, to leave this cursed palace and never look back. But the device in his hand pulsed again, faintly echoing the rhythm of his own heartbeat. And deep down he knew, the heart was calling. He followed the queen down the glowing stairs, Lyra clinging to his side. The air grew colder, thicker, as if time itself held its breath. At the bottom lay a vast chamber carved from black stone. In its center floated a massive crystal suspended by invisible energy. It pulsed slowly, glowing with blue fire like a heartbeat. Kale froze. It was the same vision from his dream. The queen's voice echoed softly through the chamber. This is the heart of the city. For centuries it has slept, but now she turned to him, her eyes unreadable. It awakens, because of you. Kale stepped forward, his chest heavy, his mind racing. He wanted to deny it again, but the truth was in the air, vibrating through his bones. The crystal pulsed brighter as he drew near. And for the first time, Kale wondered if maybe, just maybe, he was not running from destiny. Maybe destiny was chasing him. The chamber of the heart was silent, except for the steady hum of the crystal. Its glow washed over the black stone walls, painting Kale's face in shifting blue light. He stood frozen, staring at the giant crystal core. It pulsed like a living heart, slow and powerful, each beat echoing through his bones. Lyra clung to his sleeve, wide-eyed, while Queen Serenia watched with sharp, unreadable eyes. Kyle whispered, "It's alive." The queen's voice carried across the chamber. Alive and waiting. For centuries it has slept, but now it stirs, for you. Kale shook his head. No, I'm no chosen one. I didn't come here to awaken anything. He looked at Lyra. Blue bubbles for a frightened child. And yet, the queen said firmly. The heart answered, "Do you think that is chance?" Kale took a step back, his fists tightening. "If you think I'll be your weapon, you're wrong." Serenia's eyes narrowed. A weapon? No. A key. Without the heart, this city falls. Without you, it may already be too late. Before Kale could reply, the chamber shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling and the crystal flared brighter, as if reacting to some unseen force. From the stairway above, alarms echoed. Guards shouted. Then came the sound of explosions, closer this time. The queen stiffened. The rebels. They've breached the palace. Lyra gasped and grabbed her mother's cloak. Kale turned sharply. They're coming here. The black veil stormed through the palace like a rising tide. Drones sparked, guards fell, and cloaked figures cut through defenses with strange stolen weapons. Their leader marched at the front, his mask etched with crimson lines. The heart will be ours, he bellowed. In the chamber below, the queen raised her hand. A silver shield flickered into existence around the crystal, but its glow was weak, already straining. Kale stepped closer, eyes on the heart. It's reacting to me. If they come here, they will come, the queen interrupted. That is why you must choose. Stand with me or stand aside. But know this, if they claim the heart, everything above these clouds will fall. The ground shook again. Lyra screamed, clinging tighter to Kale's arm. He looked down at her trembling face. He remembered the fear in her eyes at the fountain, the way she had trusted him without hesitation. That trust burned brighter than any prophecy. I didn't come here to be a savior, Kale muttered, but I won't let her die. The queen's expression softened for just a heartbeat. Then perhaps you are more than a traveler. The chamber doors burst open. Rebels flooded in, weapons raised. Kyle shoved Lyra behind him, pulling the bubble device. He blew hard and glowing orbs filled the air. But these were not the playful bubbles of the marketplace. These pulsed with strange light, humming like tiny suns. When they touched the rebels, they burst in blinding flashes. The attackers staggered, their masks sparking, their weapons failing. What is this power? One rebel shouted, shielding his eyes. Kale didn't know, but the heart seemed to. Each bubble echoed its pulse, each burst carrying its rhythm. The crystal glowed brighter with every breath he took, as though it were alive, feeding him energy, or drawing it from him. The queen raised her hand, unleashing waves of silver light that struck the rebels down. But even she stole glances at Kale, awe flickering behind her controlled mask. The rebels pulled back, regrouping at the doors. Their leader stepped forward, his mask glowing red. He pointed at Kale. He is the key. Take him alive. Kale's stomach twisted. He was no longer just defending himself. He was the prize. The queen stepped in front of him, her silver cloak spreading like wings. You will not have him, the rebel leader sneered. You cannot protect him forever. He belongs to the prophecy, not to you. The words cut deeper than any blade. Kyle clenched his fists, torn between anger and fear. He had spent his whole life running from rulers, from being owned, from cages, and now both sides, queen and rebels, were pulling him into chains made of destiny. The heart pulsed louder, brighter, faster. The entire chamber trembled with its power. Kale dropped to his knees, clutching his head. Whispers filled his ears. Voices not of this world. Awaken. Awaken. The storm is coming. The queen knelt beside him, her hand gripping his shoulder. Kyle, listen to me. You must choose, with me or with them. But choose now, before the heart tears itself open. Kale gasped for air. His eyes met Lyra's. The little girl was crying, whispering through her tears. Don't leave me, Kale. Something inside him broke. He rose to his feet, the bubble device glowing so brightly it looked like a small star in his hand. He pointed it toward the rebels, his jaw set. I choose her, he said. Whatever happens, I protect her. The queen's eyes widened, not with anger but with something like relief. The heart of the city roared to life, its light flooding the chamber. Cracks of pure energy shot across the floor, the air trembling with power.